Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to a brand new video where we help you get better at the game of golf by giving you all the information that you need to have as to what you're doing, why you're doing it, and most importantly, how you're going to get the job done. And today, fresh off the heels of the Ryder Cup this past weekend where we saw absolutely sensational golf from the entire European squad, we are in the lab here today because we are going to be starting a journey together, you and I, where we're going to be working on becoming a better driver of the golf ball. Hooray! And who better to learn from today than one of the best drivers on the PGA Tour, in fact, the best driver on the PGA Tour, Mr. Patrick Cantlay, who I think just got married yesterday, or on Monday this week. So congratulations to Patrick, and congratulations for bringing us a really, really good golf swing to watch because you are the mark for efficiency. And I love the fact that the way that you move the golf club in space and you don't put your body in compromised positions is great because we're not gonna have to worry about you sitting on the sidelines. You're gonna be able to get out there and play good, solid golf day in and day out. And that's what we wanna see. And you're exciting to watch. You at home are also gonna be exciting to watch because you're gonna be a fairway finding machine when I'm all done with you. So our goal this week is we're gonna sit down inside the lab today. We're gonna be going through the ins and the outs of Patrick's golf swing, the things that we love the most here at My Golf DNA, and we're gonna be showing you later on in the week a simple little drill that's gonna help you sync up your hands and your arms and your body in your downswing so that you get into a delivery position that is set up for success. You ready to get to work? Because I am. Let's go check this out. Let's go. Okay, so this is probably gonna be a little bit more on the lengthy side as far as analysis is concerned. So grab yourself a beer and some popcorn or a soda, have a seat, and watch how we go through this because I want to talk about the body position at impact first, and then I want to start watching the release pattern that he uses inside of that body position because I think it's important that you understand how we utilize data to our advantage and how we can balance the equation perfectly so that it can help you produce the shot shape that you're looking for. And every single person that comes to the door and looks for golf instruction brings something different, and it's usually vastly different, and we have to look at the entire complexity of your swing shape so that we can ultimately optimize your ball flight. Now, one of the things that stood out to me the most when it comes to his golf swing was his secondary tilt at impact. If you look at his address position here from a face-on perspective, you can see that he's got his spine just inside of his lead knee. This is a very common setup position. And what you're gonna see at impact with his spine is that he's increased the tilt, but not a dramatic amount. If I draw a line down his spine now, you can see that it's just outside of his lead knee. Now, most players that are producing the clubhead speed that he's producing right around 117, 118 of clubhead speed, you're gonna see that they have a whole lot more secondary tilt to their spine. Their spine is gonna lean back a substantial amount more than what you see here. Why? Well, because modern day drivers are set up for very high launch, very low ball spin, right? We wanna hit the ball more on an ascending blow rather than a descending blow. And a great way for us to be able to do that would be to go up to the top of your swing, and as you're shifting your hips to your lead side, you would start to let your spine lean back. Now the problem with that is that can lead to three disastrous things. Number one, too much tilt to the spine can start to shallow the hand and arm path and the swing plane pretty drastically. And that shallow swing plane generally starts to result in a very high rate of closure in the club face. A rate of closure in the club face that's much too hard to manage, which is going to produce usually a big old miss off to the left-hand side of the golf course. But the third and final thing that it brings to the table is it brings danger. It brings a position to the body that's dangerous. An example I like to use, and this is not a knock by any means on Will Zalatoris. I think Will Zalatoris is a fantastic player and great for the game of golf. He's exciting, but he has a position that I would consider a little less ideal on the body. If you look at him at address, and you look at the way he moves in transition, you're gonna see that he shifts onto his lead side. See the right shoulder start to drop back. You can see by the time he gets to impact here, his spine is tilted back a dramatic more than Patrick Cantlay. Dramatically more, right? You can see that it is in a position where now you have to understand that this spot right here can start to compress the lower vertebrae over time, and I don't wanna see anybody sitting on the sidelines. But this position is so common because of the way that we're trying to get the ball to launch up in the air. But like I said, it does lead to some big time misses. Now, as we go forward in this process, I want to look at his impact position specifically before we start talking about his release pattern and why his release pattern is great for the way he moves his body into an impact position. If you look at this position at impact of his lead wrist, you can see that his lead wrist is not turned down the target line like you would hear me talk about in release videos. You can see that his shoulders are turned open right around 12 to 15 degrees instead of being square. When you just recently heard me put out a video where I want your shoulders to be square so that your hands and your arms can act independently. Now listen, that video was designed to get people to allow the arms to actually swing independently and start to put speed in the right spot. You can move into these positions as a byproduct of the DNA that you're bringing to the table. This position that Patrick is in right now with his lead wrist and his body position right here at a down the line perspective is simply a byproduct of what his grip is like at address. If you look at his grip, you can see that he's got a very strong grip by today's standards. In fact, from his perspective, he's probably seeing right around 3 knuckles or so. So I know as a golf instructor, I'm not going to go to Patrick and say, hey, you got to change that grip. What I have to do is change my thinking. I have to know that I'm not going to see his wrist turn down the target line by the time it gets to the point of contact. It should be pointed more out in front of him. And if we think about it too, because we don't want to see these big rates of closure, he's probably going to do something to his release to help make sure that the club isn't rotating too hard or too fast. And what would that be? Well, that would delay the release by turning the body a little bit more open and using a whole lot of leverage down through the bottom. Now, if you look at the right-hand side of the screen, what you're going to notice is that as his hands and arms work down into delivery, he's got a ton of lag, okay? A very, very good angle here that he's going to turn into a whole lot of speed down at the bottom of the swing arc. So if you look at it, you can see that he's really being patient to allow the arms to work in front of him, and he's still releasing the club. Now watch where the wrists and the forearms do a bulk of their rotation. You can see that his wrists are fully rotated now, about 6 inches outside of his lead thigh. Now shift your eyes over to the left-hand side of the screen and watch here really closely. So as he gets down in front of the body and starts to deliver the club, we don't see a lot of rotation yet, and then all of a sudden you see that wrist really rotate over where he's almost looks like he's turning a doorknob. Look at the club face. You can clearly see that that is toe left before the club shaft even gets fully parallel to the ground. So knowing this, seeing this movement, without seeing the ball flight, without seeing the data, what would we think he's producing for a shot shape? Well, we would probably think that he's producing a big old one over to the left-hand side of the golf course. But we know that when we look at his data, and we were able to extract this from TrackMan, we can see that he's swinging the golf club at 117 miles an hour, which is fast. His club path is 3.1 degrees in to out, which is kind of mind-boggling, right? And his face to path is 1.9 degrees shut, with an angle of attack at 1.9 degrees up. With the way that we saw his impact positions and the way that we saw his hands and arms exit, we have to think that the ball is going nowhere, right? It's going to go and be this quick one over to the left-hand side, or it's going to be a spinny one off to the right, depending on the face angle, right? But at the end of the day, what you want to remember is that this is all a balancing act. We can see that he rotates his wrists and his forearms. He uses more of what we would call our balance release. In fact, he's actually more towards our hybrid release pattern, but he's doing it with a body position that is forcing him to do that. And his body position is a great position to be safe with. He's utilizing leverage to be able to make a lot of his club head speed. He's utilizing club face control by delaying the release, allowing the hands and arms to be patient and turning the body open a little bit more before he starts the release. He's using a lot of wrist and forearm rotation post-impact and producing a very straight, flat ball flight. He hits a very straight shot that has maybe a little tiny bit of movement right to left, but it's very easy for him to be able to shape the ball with this sort of movement. And this is a position and a swing shape that, like I said in the opener, I don't think I would ever point out one thing in this swing that I don't like. This should be a model swing for a lot of you at home, because when you start thinking about who you are as a golfer and how you want to produce your speed, well, I know that you want to produce your speed and be able to protect your body so that you're not having to sit on the sidelines and watch all your friends go out there and play in their member guests or the club championship. You want to go out there and continue to play golf. And so what we're going to do later on in the week is we're going to basically work on trying to get you and your body and your arms synced up so that when they come down in front of you, you're going to have a spot that's set up for success. And you'll be able to use your current release pattern, or you'll be able to start to develop a new release pattern from that position that's going to be filled with club head speed and more control. So hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video. If you are brand new to the channel and you have not yet subscribed, do me a big favor, subscribe to the channel. If you like today's information, hit the like button. If you have any questions or comments on what you see here from today's video, then post that stuff up below. Otherwise, be on the lookout, because I think that the video that you're going to see next with getting everything synced up is going to be a good one for you. You'll really like the drill, and you'll start feeling what it's like to move the proper way and get yourself in a position where you're on plane and in a spot where we know that you're not going to hurt your body over the long haul. Hopefully you guys have a wonderful day. Let's get out there and play some great golf.